Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Holt, as I am each and every time that he is kind enough to join and take time out of his wonderful retirement, Coach. Hey, I'll tell you something else that's been wonderful. It's been the offense for the Dodgers in terms of being opportunistic and scoring late in games, and then just like I said, just as a team being opportunistic and winning some great baseball games.
Like I said, Case, me and you on the high school level, and not just me and you, but everybody on the high school, collegiate level, you love that grinding type baseball. I mean, it's, the pretty boys are all look good, and it's great to have those. Don't get me wrong. You have to have those stars and that sort of thing, but it gets right down to it, the nitty gritty, when you have to play dirty, get down dirty, like the Dodgers Saturday night, came back. I know we'll talk more about that, but yeah, the old school type of baseball, pitching, grinding. You got guys that are, bullpen. Those guys are getting overtaxed, but they're coming in. They're giving every ounce they have in them to try to help the Dodgers, and knowing that's a struggling situation right there, but they're performing offensively. I say it's great. Lux is slowly pulling back up. I know he's a National League Player of the Week. That was great for, my favorite Dodger. Whatever. Yeah, Lux. It's great to see him, and he's had some big hits during this run here. But no, it's good. It's good baseball, and I won't go there again. But every time I hear Fire Roberts, you got to understand.
Yes, I agree.
You got to understand that dude is. They're getting things done with a shorthand, so that's all I'll say about it.
They are. Hey, before we get into everything else, of course, the Dodgers win 3-2. They moved to 60-4 and 60-41 on the season. 8.5 games over the Padres, so they've actually extended their lead. 9 over the D-backs, 12 over the Giants. The NL West is not in jeopardy, I don't think. I think the biggest part of this is Milwaukee. You don't want Milwaukee to catch you, and they were I think the Dodgers at going to the break maybe had like a half-game lead, something like that. Don't quote me on that.
Right.
But it was something like that. Back up to a 2.5-game lead, and you know as well as I do, Coach, 3-game series isn't real baseball. The best team is probably not going to win more than 50% of the time in those scenarios. If the other team has 1 or 2 good pitchers, or literally like I was talking to Joe Kelly in our interview, and like what he said in those 3-game series, this is coming from him, not me. Literally one guy can get hot from the other team and carry them for a 3-game series and win. So I know the Dodgers have struggled with the time off and all that, but still, I don't want any part of a wild card round in the playoffs. And so I think the real goal for the Dodgers is to beat the Brewers, to not have to be in that wild card round.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about it. There's pros and cons to that case. We've talked about it. We've seen it every sport. The year the Giants didn't play a home game in the NFL playoffs, ended up knocking off an undefeated Patriot team in the Super Bowl. They just got hot. They kept playing. They never had a week off. We've seen it in baseball too. The Cardinals of 2011, that was a wild card team. There's some positives that where you keep playing because that's what they're used to. The other side is it is nice to have that rest. Of course, last year that was last year the bad sign. All the teams that had the rest got knocked out the first round. So there's pros and cons of the whole deal. But as a coach, you and I and other coaches all over the world, you like to have some days off there. I think it shows with the All-Star break here. I think the Dodgers some of the guys got rejuvenated there, and T. Oscar surely building off of his deal, man. I mean, he's been killing it ever since the home run derby, and a lot of guys do that. They say that historically, the guys who have won that derby have come back and had great second half. So we'll continue to hope and pray for that for T.O. and the Dodgers continue to play well.
Yeah, guys like him are proving guys like me that the narrative of the Jock Peterson narrative, to where you change your swing, you come back, and I know Alex Friedman, the play-by-play voice of the AAA Oklahoma City Dodgers, sent out a tweet. Hey, the first time Teo goes 0 for 4, there's going to be a whole army of people. Hey, see the home run derby. But he's proven everybody wrong with that. I'm one of those guys that have never favored being in a home run derby in the middle of a season, but I think he's proven that narrative wrong.
No, I think there's no doubt about it. I don't follow that close, but people that do have said those guys have built off that. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And I was great that Ohtani. I totally agree that Ohtani not getting in there. He's still rehabbing, and there's no reason to take a chance on messing up something. He don't have to prove it, just like he showed the other day. He don't have to prove it. He's the biggest freak in the planet. Him and Judge probably right now. What you look at, but he don't have to prove anything. And at some point, it'll be great to see him out there, because he's liable to hit one out of a stadium somewhere in the home run derby. So, but not now. We're trying to win the World Series now, and I'm glad he didn't do it. But no, you're right. Teoscar has has just built off that, and the confidence and all that stuff. And that whether you want to win that home run derby or not, there's competitive fire, man.
My goodness,
those guys are competing. I love watching those guys. I've become big fans of those guys that I didn't know about before. Bobby Witt Jr., those guys sitting there in Kansas City, we don't know anything about him. That guy's a stud. He's a great player. Of course, the Dodgers got to see him this year. And I've become big fans of those guys. They're competitive, yet they have respect for the other guys. And it's just great to watch that those guys, and they did tweak it a little bit. I still think they need to tweak it a little bit more. I still think it's too many swings. But the powers that be, they're smarter than me, and there's a bunch of them. They'll figure out how to. They did tweak it, and it was better, but I still think it's a little too long. But, hey, we got the champ, so we're all happy with it.
It's the one time that they can do something for themselves that also benefits the team. It's usually the exact opposite field way around. Usually you're doing whatever you need to do for the team, and then if that provides you some individual accolades, great. That's gravy on the top. So it has the exact opposite effect to it. So I think that's a lot of fun, and I agree with you. I've changed my mind on that. That's built momentum. I think it even built momentum. I think you could go as tinfoil hattish as to say, I think it built some momentum and excitement inside the Dodgers organization at a period where you kind of needed some. I think it did create at least somewhat of a spark.
No, and we'll all agree, and it's not just the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Orioles, the best teams in baseball all kind of limped, quote unquote, into the All-Star break. They all needed a break, and and we know those teams aren't going away. Those are still the best teams in baseball. At the end, those are going to be the ones there. We all get that. We know they're not disappearing, but they all kind of limped into that, and it's like you said, a shot in the arm for the organization. That guy's out there. It's sure a shot in the arm for Glass now. Tyler was right there with him, fanning him and getting him drinks, and he was all in on that deal. So it's sure a shot in the arm to him too. So it's great for the team morale, and what a great deal for everybody. And that's good. I didn't realize that was the first one the Dodgers ever had. I guess that's true. I don't really remember having one. But we'll have another one with Ohtani one of these days. I can't imagine that not happening.
This roster spending billions of dollars. It's easy. It could be easy at times, when you have Shohei Ohtani, 4 Hall of Famers at the top, and then when a couple of your guys at the bottom lineup are going like you expected them to, it's easy for this club to out-roster other people, just kind of out-muscle them and bully them and that kind of thing. That's one thing. Those wins don't necessarily excite me. As the Dodgers have had probably a handful of games this year that no other roster in baseball can duplicate as far as some of the things that they did. But I think it's imperative, I've said this many times, that this club win those gritty games. Win the games that aren't just, hey, we bullied you with our billion-dollar roster. We actually played baseball, and we executed, and we won because we were able to execute and play baseball better than you. It's just imperative this club throughout the season learn how to win those games.
I agree with it. On the other side, you're breaking a couple of guys up in Robleski and River Ryan that come in. You got these young cats coming. It's obvious by watching them. You've talked to them, Case. You've got a relationship with both of them. Mm-hmm. Those cats, they're competitive, and they bring that youth. They bring that fire. They bring that youth. And they're let's go get them, and that's a great thing for the Dodgers to see, and they're both have done well. Robleski should have got him a win the other day. I didn't want to go there, but he had a win when he left the other day. He had that big lead. He should have got a win there, but he's done well all 3 of games. And Ryan threw. I know you'll talk about that more, but Ryan threw outstanding yesterday. So it's just like what we saw last year when those young pitchers came up and gave the Dodgers a shot in the arm and really saved their bacon when it was tied. We're kind of seeing the same thing now with Robleski and Ryan.
Doubt.
Oh, that's awesome. I love those kids. Those young kids coming in. They don't know any better. I got number 77 on here, and I'm blowing your doors off. Get some of it. I love that stuff.
I've said it a couple of times, and I will keep backing it up. Hey, Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal, whatever it may be, when you throw River Ryan out there and he's literally just throwing fastballs, not perfect. I mean, they weren't necessarily center cut, but he wasn't trying to paint black, Coach. I mean, he was just trying to get to the outer third, inner third. Just make a good pitch, not a great pitch, because he has that much confidence in his fastball. Some of the sliders and cutters and sinkers he threw last night were just simply phenomenal. So when the Dodgers bring up a guy like River Ryan and you're right in front of the trade deadline, you go, oh, okay, you want to ask $1 million, you want to ask the moon for Garrett Crochet something that nobody really wants to pay as far as a prospect package? Check this out. We got River Ryan. Did you like what you saw last night? We've already got a guy that's throwing 98 to 95, 96, 97, 98 that has all the sinkers and the cutters. So, hey, you want to ask too much for Garrett Crochet or Tarek Skubal? Keep them. Good luck, Chicago. So I think that only builds leverage for the Dodgers.
There's no doubt about it. You can live with Robleski and Ryan. And the great thing about Ryan is we know he was a two-way guy when he come in.
Oh, yeah.
And a very athletic kid. Very athletic.
Gotcha.
He just so happens, okay, I think I'll become a pitcher. And it becomes he's got a chance of being a stud there, which he already is in a lot of respects. He's on the major league level. And I know we love Oklahoma City because that's in our backyard, but it's probably pretty nice in L.A. too. So River pitched like he did. He wasn't ready to go back anytime soon. He'd like to stay up here for a while. So we'll see how that goes for him. I know there's a lot of moving parts on that as far as, keeping kids up and sending them back down, that sort of thing. I get that. But, he sure pitched like a guy who'd like to hang around for a while, and we'd love to see that.
I tell you, Robo too, and then Landon Knack is the same way.
Yes.
Gavin Stone's the same way, River Ryan. And I'm just some dude that just, gets on a microphone. But every time I'm there and they walk by, they stop and say, "Hi, Casey." They call me by my first name. And then they stop and let me talk to them for like 20 seconds, which people don't understand how busy these guys are.
Yep.
And as somebody who's been in the game my whole life, you've seen it, Coach.
Yep.
I know how busy they are. And I know to me, that is just so impressive that from a personal perspective, they take time for people that they don't have to. These young guys, they're awesome dudes. But hey, let's move on to the actual game again.
Okay.
Last night. Hey, the old formula, and yes, home runs are great. Yes, bullying teams with $1 billion roster is great. But the forever formula in close, tight games, pitching, defense, timely hitting, it's never going to go away. That formula is always going to win games. So how about this for pitching? River Ryan, 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs. Only the 1 run on the pass ball by Will Smith, who was trying to steal a strike, man. And what I really liked, River Ryan in between innings went up and patted Will. Said, "Hey, man, no big deal." And then 3 walks last night. Alex Vesia, Blake Trinan, and Daniel Hudson went scoreless. Yarbrough made a mistake to the wrong hitter. Fitzgerald's just been on an absolute home run tear as of late. And he meant to be a 2-seam to turn left. Instead it cut, and it cut back over the plate. And so sometimes that happens.
Right.
So there's the pitching. Defense, no errors. Timely hitting, 2 for 6 with runnings in scoring position. Tio Hernandez, thank you so much with that.
Yes, sir.
And check this out. Since the break, the Dodgers have scored in the 8th inning in all 4 games, and then they are 10 for 28 with runners in scoring position. And after the 8th inning, the Dodgers have scored 12 runs since the break, the last 4 games. That is some serious timely hitting. That is some great pitching. And the defense has been good as well. At least it was last night with no errors. I know Miguel Vargas has been a little bit of an adventure in left field. It's kind of fun to watch him. But, yeah, man, that formula never goes away.
No, that's a recipe for success, Case. I mean, I'll even go back 100 years ago when I coached you. We won a state title here in American Legion. I went back and looked. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'll give you a pretty close deal. We won like 11 straight games in the playoffs before we got beat in the first state finals game.
Yeah.
I think 8 of them we won in the 8th or 9th inning.
Yes.
We scored runs in the 8th or 9th inning. So several things went into that. As you know, we had great pitchers. We had a really good defense, and we hit about 280 as a team, honestly. Yeah. But it was always somebody different, getting a clutch hit. Tommy Varner, the wind-blowing single. I'll just throw a name out there. But that recipe hasn't gone away since 1989, Case. It's still recipe. Get all the analytics, give me every computer in the world, give me all the paperwork, give me all that. It comes right down to it's like you just said. That's what you move runners, timely hitting. You got to pitch and play defense, and I love it. I love watching that type of game. People aren't baseball people. I've said this before. I was going, 1-0 game. It's boring. Get out of here, dude. That's the most exciting game because every pitch, every play is important. It means something. So, I love a 1-0 game, especially when we win, but I just love it because everybody's competing their tail off. Every pitch means something, and that's a bad pitch. I got to go on to the next one, which is the nature of baseball, which everybody tries to get to. But, no, it's fun to watch, and that's like I said, since the break. I mean, they needed a break. I haven't kept up with the Orioles and all those other great teams that are out there, and the Yankees and them. But maybe they're playing better too. I don't follow them as well as I do the Dodgers, but a break. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was. It was, Coach. And I'll tell you another thing, a really telling stat that the Dodgers have not been as good at this year. They've been one of the better teams with this in all of baseball for at least a couple of years running. And I don't have the exact stats. I didn't do all the exact research on it. But as of late, the Dodgers have been better when you score runs with 2 outs, it is an absolute backbreaker for the other team. Just from an emotional perspective, I can tell you as a coach/manager, whenever your pitcher works out of it and you're like, man, we're 1 pitch away from getting out of this thing.
Yep.
And then bam, bam, you give up 2 runs.
Yep.
It's demoralizing.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, God dang, man, we were that close to getting out of this thing. Now, I mean, it's like the momentum that builds is hard to explain. I know it's just 1 run maybe, but it's way more than 1 run in terms of momentum and demoralizing the other team. So when the Dodgers score their last 2 runs last night were scored with 2 outs, those are backbreakers. Those are hard to come back from if you're the other team.
Well, even Sunday night, I mean, the home run ended up, we ended up putting 9-5, but I mean, we had the 2-run homer. They put us up 9-3. But we ended up, 9-5? But we had time to run at the plate, So that's a big play at the time. You just think, hey, we're just kind of rubbed it in their face, but ended up being a big play for the Dodgers. But yeah, those sort of things right there, you just got to keep playing it.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. Absolutely. River Ryan, Coach, what'd you think about him? Pretty impressive. Here's what I liked about him, and we'll get to your thoughts here in a minute. Of course, we've highlighted, I put out a show this weekend about what to expect from him. The typical 4 pitches of a power pitcher, the high-riding 4-seam, the tumbling changeup, the left-turning slider, and then also a curveball that he flips in, every now and then to steal a strike early in the count. But then he also added the cutter and sinker, the east and west to it. And then this past offseason, what was so impressive to me about River Ryan is, sometimes you put those features together, and this is what they've done at the minor league level. And then you see him get to the major league level, and they feel like they have to reinvent themselves because, oh, my gosh, this is the major leagues. What I've been doing I got to do something different because these are major league hitters. Not River Ryan. River Ryan just went out and said, hey, dudes, this is River Ryan on the bump. This is what I do. You're not going to hit it. So here it comes. I just love the fact he literally did not change one single thing about who he is. That was so exciting to me.
He's like, I'm at the show. My parents are in the stands. I'm making my major league debut. It's the San Francisco Giants and Dodgers. Are you kidding me? One of the storied rivalries in Major League Baseball. I do what I agree with you, Case. I love that. I do what I do. Another thing you mentioned that we take for granted. We shouldn't. We really don't, but we do sometimes. The minor league instruction these guys are getting all the way up.
No doubt.
And you've talked about, I know, all the way up. It's unheard of. Not every organization has that. The Dodgers have great management. They got obviously great pitching instructors going up. I know their spring training staff's awesome. I don't know if Sandy Koufax still comes in. Some of those cats still roll in there and help them as much as they can. But as far as the training, these guys getting, like you said, they're busy because there's always somebody behind them. There's always somebody wanting their job, even on the Class A level. Hey, there's some 17-year-old just signed out of Puerto Rico that's hungry. He wants your job. So they can't take a day off. They can't take 10 minutes off. And that's the beauty of it. I would love to have been good enough to when I woke up every morning, all I did was baseball. I never was, but wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, it'd be a lot of stress with it, but sure, it'd be fun. That's all you did for a living. But I did as far as the managers and coaches too. But, that's great that he just came out and, hey, they brought me up here because of who I am. I'm just going to be who I am. Roberts had some good comments about him too. You can tell he really thinks highly of the young man. Obviously, they wouldn't have brought him up, but he brings a lot to the table, and that's exciting part. It's like it was last year. Mm-hmm. That's exciting to see those guys, and they're brought up the right way. I don't think they rush them. We may have had to rush a couple last year because the whole rotation was out. But
good point. He didn't have to get rushed.
No,
they didn't at all with him. That's a great point, Coach.
And I saw your interview, and the part about him having to take his arm got tired. He threw a lot. Didn't throw very many innings. He had a season where he threw a lot of innings, and the Dodgers, the Powers, whoever backed off of him, let him rest, and now he's back. But that's the great thing. You got better knowledge of that than I do. They did not rush this guy. And Robleski was the same way. He kind of earned his way up through AA and AAA. Boom, he's at the big leagues. And we'll see how long that lasts for him. I hope it lasts a long time. But the Dodgers do a great job, not just on the major league level, but up and down. And I know I'm a Dodger fan for life and all that stuff. You can say I'm just sitting here, beating the drum. But the proof's in the pudding, Casey. It's not just me saying that. Everybody can see it.
Yeah. I like the fact that you mentioned Dave Roberts as far as his comments with River Ryan. And one telltale sign about Dave, and a lot of fans would say that Dave Roberts kind of acts like the cool dad, if you will, instead of the manager of the players. At times, I think there's some fairness to that. I don't think that's necessarily even a criticism, because I don't think people understand. And I do, because I get to see these managers and then also the position coaches at every level, at the minor league level. I get to talk to them, I get to see them, and I get a lot of behind-the-scenes type of stuff. And so when people say that, they have no clue the type of ego is probably the wrong word, but confidence that they're dealing with to become a major leaguer. You don't understand how much confidence you have to have in yourself, because there's so much competition that you just mentioned a minute ago. There's so many people gunning for their job. And then, by the way, the people on the other side are the greatest players in the world, and they're trying to keep you from getting to all those goals that you're reaching. So when you're dealing with players that have that type of confidence, yes, it's cockiness. Yes, it's ego. There's no doubt about it, because you can't make it without that. So a large part of the manager's job is to manage those egos, even at the minor league level. I'm telling you, man,
Yep.
That's a large part of what they do. So when fans want to say, hey, he's the cool dad, okay, that's not necessarily a negative thing. That just means he's very good with handling these egos. So I give all that context to say this. You can always tell when Dave Roberts has buy-in on a player, because the first time he talks about him, like in the post-game interview last night, he'll mention something like, there's more in the tank. Mm-hmm. Hey, he was great. I think there's more there. Versus whenever you can tell he's trying to kind of psychologically pump confidence into someone, he'll kind of baby it and say, well, he did great. The mistakes here were explainable, and he's fine, and, all that. He didn't do that with River Ryan. He said, it was great. There's more in the tank. We'll see. So that tells me right there that he feels like River Ryan is an emotionally mature young man, a very confident young man, and that Dave Roberts has buy-in on him.
Man, did a great job. His arm's fresh. I mean, he's a fresh arm, because the Dodgers did back off of him and let him progress the way he should have. Every day getting his work in, doing what he, and he even told you himself. That's a great interview with the River, by the way. I watched it, and
thank you.
The things he was working on, he knew he had to work on. He was getting help with, and about had to get the ball to turn left. I just did a lot of tricking. I love his first pitch last night. Broke about that far to the left.
It did.
It was out of the zone. I was like, that one went to the left, pretty damn hard. But anyway, it's just great that a young man who's learning his craft, and he's been tutored by the best in the business, and he's listening, he's doing the work, and now he's in a dugout with Clayton Kershaw and the major leaguers, and it's amazing. Not only that, he's in major league hitters that can talk to him about things. He's going to get all that. He's going to just start soaking up more knowledge from Freddie and those guys, and Mookie, who have been around, who can tell him what not to do as a pitcher as well, but from the hitting standpoint. So it's just going to start flowing in there to him. And that's the beautiful part about any young player when they get in there. And the confidence, it's right, Case. I mean, let's face it, even on the high school level, I wouldn't manage today the day I did when I managed you guys. I'd probably get fired the first day.
You would send the same messages, but in different ways.
In different ways. You have to, and it's not the same on the major league level. I love Jim Leland, one of my favorite managers, one of the greatest speeches in his Hall of Fame the other day, when he almost got himself to tears. But, he was a hard ass. I mean, he was on his, but he was a great manager, and he loved his players. And Rudy Darrow, I know you know Rudy, he's a pitching coach at Kansas State now, but he's a Perkins guy, and he worked out with us some in the spring, and he was with the Tigers, and he loved Jim Leland. He walks the guy after getting him down 0-2, and then he comes in, Jim says, Rudy, throw it down the effing middle. I mean, real simple. Rudy, come here. Anyway, so we always loved that about him. He loved Jim Leland as a manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that guy. But that's what it takes. And, I don't know. It's great to see.
Yeah. Jim Leland was a hard ass because he did love his players.
Yes.
He was not going to allow his players to be anything less than what he felt like they should be. And when players sense that you're doing that because of those reasons, there's a lot of give and take. I
think Barry Bonds still loves him even after
no doubt.
One of the all-time great rants. I think Barry has a lot of respect for him because still to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. So super excited about River Ryan.
Yep.
Teein Hernandez, man, we've talked about everything the Dodgers could have ever asked for him, plus some. The clutch thing, I even mentioned this the other day, is fantastic. I wanted to bring this up about what he did last night. That first hit, that was a slider down and in. That was just a great job of hitting. And so I know David Ortiz has mentioned this a couple times. So what hitters do is they hunt pitches. Mm-hmm. So, like, to be able to say, okay, so you need to be able to cover the outside part of the plate, the inside part of the plate, the top and the bottom. And then, by the way, you need to also be able to cover multiple speeds while doing that. You can't do that. It's not even possible. And hit the ball the way Teein Hernandez does. So the impressive part of his hits last night, other than the fact that he executed, he knew what was coming. He knew what to hunt. He had the game plan as far as what to hunt and what's coming. And when he got it, he didn't miss. I just thought the preparation that he put into that was every bit as impressive as the execution. Very impressed.
I know we talked about with the Dodgers signing case, what we were getting, a 260 guy, around 260-ish, career hitter, 20-ish homers, top guy, good defender. But as we talked about it, there's that climb in the clubhouse. Just nothing new here. It's not rocket science. But going from a team and then stepping into the Dodger clubhouse and the Dodger culture and the Dodger, you know what I'm saying? He's raised, you can tell, I don't know him from before. I really don't know him now. I'm just as a fan watching it, but you can tell he's raised his level and has picked up his game in so many ways. And like you said, that's great from David Ortiz. You can tell he's a big fan of his the other day when he was talking about him. But, I used to always hear him talk about guess hitters. Are you kidding me? You're going to guess hit when guys throwing everybody in the league's 98 plus and they're pitching backwards because they can, because they're good enough to do that.
Right. You
ain't guessing anything here about it. You better have an idea what you're going to get and not miss it. You may only get. We used to tell our high school hitters this all the time. You may get one good fastball the entire bat, and it may be the first pitch. It's great to go up there. I'd love for them to take 3 or 4 pitches, but if you're down 0-2 or 1-2, it doesn't matter. Now the pitcher's got the advantage. So if you're hunting that, we tell the first good fastball you see, get after it. It's easier at high school too, but it's kind of the same concept.
It absolutely is.
You're looking for the fastball. This guy's great away from out of the zone. We even did it this year. I know Coach Lees did a great job of scouting reports, and he had plans for our hitters. Stay off this. Here's what look for this. This is what you got to look for. This is what how to approach it. So it's great on all levels. That's the game inside the game. That's why we love it. So
yeah. Freddie Freeman hunts strikes. He feels like if the ball is in the strike zone, that he can hit it. Yep. So there's different triggers for different hitters. Yep. But hey, James Paxton has surprised everybody. I put out a hot take yesterday, so we've covered that. Right. But that surprised everybody. I think my point on that was, hey, you've got River Ryan, and this is my biggest point on it, and we won't cover the reasons why or whether it was good or not.
Sure.
It's super exciting. This is one thing that I have bitched and moaned about to no end, is that the Dodgers choose veteran over young talent every single time. They did it with Lance Lynn last year. Just David Peralta, just one example after the other. How about choosing River Ryan over James Paxton? That is a change. I mean, that's like a eureka moment, like, holy snap, this organization actually is all in. Yeah. That was a fun move for me.
I think, and the broadcaster of the Sunday night game case, I know you watched it, they were pretty much landed out there. You could tell they'd talked to Roberts and his frustrations with Paxton. He couldn't really put anybody away. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of that. That's not my decision. I'm not an expert on any of that. But they were. So it's almost like they had that conversation, and you kind of seen the same thing. Got himself in some trouble, that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm not going to beat the guy when he's down as a major league pitcher. I'm sure he's a nice young man, and I'm not going to beat him up. It's not my place to do that. But just hopefully he gets straightened up for whatever happens with either with the Dodgers or somebody else for his sake. But no, you're right. That's the same old thing. Here we go. Roberts is in on that decision. He's the manager. He's in on that decision along with upper management. They're obviously all in, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, and these guys, we forget about that. We don't forget about that, but we get nuts and lose a few games and blow a 9-3 lead in the 9th inning or whatever that one was that one day, that brutal one. But we'll get over it eventually. But
it might be 3 months later.
The only thing that bothers me about the whole thing is that Robo didn't get a win in that game. It's baseball.
I tell you, my honest opinion on that, I had zero issues with taking Robo out when they did.
No, I agree.
He had struggled right about the 17 batter mark.
Yep.
It was going to be the third time through. And then also the unfortunate of his first 2 outings, it was like he was so close to having like scoreless outings. when you have that scoreless outing in the bag after the 5 innings, then you take the kid out, and you saw him skip off the mound.
Yep.
He was pumped when he came off the mound. He got to leave with a great taste in his mouth.
Yep.
So I really thought taking Robo out when they did was the right call at his stage in his career. The problem, I thought, was who you bring in.
Yeah.
The Yohan Ramirez deal was just a bad look.
Yeah, I think there's anything about it because I think the next time he came out, it was the same look. I mean, the next time he took the mound, it's kind of the same type deal. So, yeah, and of course, we've all been in their case and having to make those tough decisions. Do you leave a guy? Do you take him out? Forever, the history of baseball. You look
Toughest
like an
decision
idiot.
on baseball.
Yeah, it's like that thing. Is it a charge or a block in basketball if you're official? As you know, I've never done
Yes.
it's is it or not? It's a give and take. You look like an idiot or you look like a genius. And that's what Gary Ward told me in my first year of coaching. Just make the decision, go with it. And you go off of that. But no, that was great. That was a great decision. And, it blew up in their face, and then whatever. And they're not idiots. They got it figured out, obviously, already. Since the All-Star break, it's looked pretty good. And not just the All-Star break, the whole season. Let's don't go so crazy here. I mean, they've set up themselves with a great team. It's good enough to win the World Series, and we know that. It's just going to be like everything else. Who gets hot down at the end? Yep. You see it from the high school level on up. The teams that are playing well at the end, and are usually the ones that are going to win it all.
Yeah. There's still a lot of fat to cut. You still got Brusdar Graterol coming back, Michael Grove, Clayton Kershaw, Tyler Glasnow. All have to be added to the 26-man roster. So there is fat to be cut. So fans that are like, hey, we need to get rid of this guy right now. We need to get rid of that. Well, it's coming. Trust me. The roster crunch, we saw it with James Paxton. We saw it last offseason with Brian Hudson, who's one of the best relief pitchers in the game right now for the Milwaukee Brewers. But you can't argue with the fact the Dodgers had to DFA him because there was just a roster crunch. You had to get all these other guys on the roster. So the fat's going to get cut. It's coming. So if there's some guys on there that you feel like need to be DFA'd and removed from the 26-man roster, just stay patient because it's coming, Coach. But, hey, this has been a lot of fun. It's always fun after a big win over the Giants. So final thoughts.
Like I said, it's great to see the Dodgers. I think that in short terms, the break was great. They've got some momentum coming out. They face a Red Sox team that had been playing pretty well. Historically a great franchise and been playing well. And they come in and they take 3 there. Then got your big rival coming in. This is a big week for the Dodgers. I know, it's 162, blah, blah, blah. But you got the Giants for 4. Then you turn around and go to Houston, who, there you go. And Houston's playing very well. Houston started out horribly, last place. Now they're leading the division. So, that's going to be fun down in Houston. I wish I could go, but I probably couldn't stand to listen to my buddies who are Astro fans and if they happen to win. But either way, it's going to be a great series down in Houston this weekend. So I look forward to all that.
The Giants suck, so maybe we can win 4 games.
Yeah, let's win 4 before we go to Houston. Who cares?
Get on that 7-game winning streak. Go down there and kick the crap out of the Astros. That sounds like a lot of fun. Then we can bang some trash cans in celebration of it. So,
that's right.
Hey, sound like a plan?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all in.
All right, Coach. I love you. I appreciate you joining. And so, hey, man, thanks everybody for tuning in. And until next time, go Dodgers.